how you doing?
Good. What about you?
I'm okay. Um, I actually had something specific to talk about, if you don't mind, related to that. Um, I'm in a good bit of physical pain right now, and kind of have been for the last couple hours. It's like it's a lot of just pain in my head, like forehead, scalp. But earlier it was also like a lot of like my teeth and my jaw and my throat and my eyebrow. Like it's just my whole head slash face area feels like almost tight or maybe clenched a little bit. Just so part of the reason I bring it up, not just because I'm in pain, is because I was kind of thinking about, I've heard some stuff about the pleasure pain cycle, or more just the interaction between pleasure and pain in the past. I've heard about it. And I was kind of curious about your take on it, especially as it might relate to me.
Just tell me what you've heard. What you've heard that resonates with you?
Um, okay, so a couple different things. One, that we tend to seek pleasure and avoid pain, and that you might say that that could be the root of suffering, but I can't say that I've necessarily found that to be true yet. Two, I have once noted in me that I have sometimes fight the coming of pain, fight the leaving of pleasure, really just fight state changes essentially. Um, there's the what comes up must go down, like impermanence. Although, from my experience, I often like I've been uncomfortable for hours. So, and I'm often kind of get stuck in like multi-hour long stuff.
Mhm.
So I'm not really sure about that one. I mean, it does pass. So I can't say it's permanent, but
So what would you say is your dominant? I don't know the right word. Inclination when you get in one of these. Is it just to get out of it, or is it what do you ruminate about it, or what's the main thing that happens when this turns up?
it's almost like I like fiddle with it, like with the physical feeling of it. Like I might like adjust my head or like take some deep breaths, but uh, maybe with the sense of trying to get out of it. I mean, that's part of my issue with spirituality is like, why wouldn't I want to get out of painful
Of
feelings?
course, yeah. So what if I said it's absolutely reasonable that we avoid pain and seek pleasure? But as soon as I say that, we can look a little deeper and we can go, do we seek pleasure to avoid potential pain, pain that hasn't yet arrived?
Um, do we seek pleasure to avoid potential pain? I'm not sure I'd understand.
Yeah, okay. So it doesn't resonate with you. That's really what I'm after. So
It
when
could, that
pain
is.
turns up, of course, it's absolutely natural. It's human to want to not feel the pain. But would you call that seeking pleasure? or would you just say it's I want to avoid the pain?
Okay. Uh, I almost the way I maybe see it is that it's almost kind of like the anything but this principle, or as long as it's changing.
Yep, yep, I get that. So if you're in pain, imagining there being no pain could appear as pleasure, even if it's nothing. If it's as long as it's not pain, it would seem pleasurable while you're in the pain. What about curiosity about why the pain is there? Does that play much of a part for you?
No, and I've talked to you before about like curiosity shows up, but it's pretty infrequent.
Right. So you don't find yourself wondering why it's there. Do
No.
you
If
feel
anything, I
that?
just I if I want to know why, it's because I want to figure out like the mechanism
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah. In order to get rid of it. Yeah, sure.
get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Does is there a sense of you deserve the pain? That sounds pretty weird, but yeah, I mean, it might. Does it resonate with you when I say these things? If it's just nothing, if there's no reaction, then that's fine.
I'm gonna say it doesn't necessarily resonate, but it does hit on themes we've kind of hit on before of like suffering tied to being worthy
Yeah, yeah,
or being
yeah.
not worthy of love.
Mm.
Uh,
So does the pain have an element of punishment? That's the same question from another slightly different angle. You don't need to think about it too much. It'll either resonate or not. You know, much better to
the
go with
thought
what pops up.
the thought of self punishment shows up, but I don't really know.
Yep, that's okay. Fine. Okay, so there's a possibility there. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. We missed a really obvious thing. Did you kink your neck when you were dancing? Did you fall over and hit your head? Have you taken some drugs that you're recovering from? Is there some obvious physical reason why that might be there?
I'm mildly sick and I'm coming off of a pretty intensive week. But I'm gonna resist that being the explanation for everything
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
feeling.
sure. Yeah, yeah, we're only looking at aspects, right, rather than something um, total, right? So what I heard you say just then was that you're pretty exhausted. And of course, when we get exhausted or sick, when we get exhausted, we're more likely to get sick. When we get exhausted or sick, we're more inclined to get triggered by things. So that now I'm not looking for a cause. I'm just looking for possible involvement.
There's some tiredness and some efforting that you might not have called out on, but I noticed when you said it.
Hmm. So the obvious, it's too obvious, really, but the obvious resistance, stupid word, but I don't know a better one. The 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 obvious resistance is to the pain. But what about, is there something else you might be resisting? And you don't have to know what, just what comes to mind, yes or no, or maybe, or whatever.
Um, there's some fear there that I could be resisting something or that I am.
Yeah. So the shoulder shrug is fine, just a possibility. Yeah. If if you were
Uh,
if there was something nudging you at an unconscious level, this pain could be a way of avoiding that, because it gives you something really tangible to focus on, doesn't it? Now, I'm not saying it is
yeah.
the case. I'm just saying it's a possibility. So maybe the resistance to that is actually what's behind all of this. Maybe. And maybe it's good enough at the moment. I'm not looking for surety.
Well, you got me feeling very unsure. Um,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
maybe messy. Less pain, more clenching.
Mhm. So that clenching that you were mentioning too, that so we've got the possible clenching in the jaw, but the head feels a bit like it's in a clamp. That's kind of like,
Well, the
yeah,
head
go
is
on.
feeling a little relaxed right now, but like the neck is going, the teeth are going now. The shoulder, you just noticed my shoulders moving. That wasn't me, or that wasn't me
Mm,
shrugging at you
mm.
right now.
Yeah, letting go, letting. Yeah.
Just convulsing. I convulse a lot. Or
Mm. Do you get that what is actually happening is probably the least important aspect to it?
what do you mean?
Well, the pain that you're experiencing or that you were experiencing is just the exposed bit of what's going on. That there's something else has been triggered that's resulted in this. But this is just a reflection of that. It's not what that is.
But see, okay, I can't say you're wrong, but I also can't see how you could know you're right or how I could know you're right. Maybe resonance if that shows up, but
Yeah. And I can't. I mean, I might not be right at all. We're just playing around with looking for a recognition.
okay.
I mean, we'd love to be able to nail it down. Absolutely, wouldn't we? That
Yeah.
satisfy
No,
the
I just mean
mind, that one.
it's so speculative to be like,
Hmm,
yeah, it's all the stuff that is totally invisible to you that's actually going on.
hmm. Well,
Like,
it's
okay,
invisible to you and invisible to me. That's the thing.
yeah. So no one really knows if it's there or not.
Well, we know the consequences of something is what you're experiencing. Well, even that's
Okay.
a bit logical, isn't it? It's a bit intellectual to say that this is a result of something.
Yeah, I can accept that there could be some world where we might just experience things with no cause,
Mm.
reluctantly.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we say we don't know, it's not that we're saying we don't recognise that there are involvements. It's just that we can't define them. They're too speculative to define. So we say,
Yeah,
okay, well, we don't know. Right? Yeah.
yeah.
So
This
has
is.
this? Yeah, go on.
I'm not. I don't know if this is selfing or, but I'm gonna say it. It's because it feels like I'm losing my tools to do things. Um, and saying that it gives me
Yeah,
a weird feeling I don't necessarily agree
yeah,
with, but
yeah. I get that. It certainly wouldn't feel good to feel like you've lost the ability to.
also I can't say that it's.
Yeah,
Let's just say I trust you, even if I don't know if I should. Like,
yeah, yeah. It's a tricky one, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah. Might it be that you're giving up? Well, let's use the word tools. You're giving up tools that were never quite good enough to do the job completely, but they might have had some benefit, but that they're no longer having the same kind of benefit. Might that be that you're opening for a new set of tools or more sophisticated tools or variations on the original?
That idea makes me happy. I'll say
Hmm.
that.
So can you get this is a real tricky one, but a really big one. Can you get that along with the pain, let's call it pain, along with that discomfort, there there is the not wanting it to be there, which is very definitely part of it. It's not like there is the pain and then there is separate to that the not wanting it to be there. They are intertwined.
Uh,
They are part of the same thing. Can you get that?
mm, maybe. Uh, um, it challenges my belief that there are like easily definable parts that you can.
Well, that's good, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I mean,
Maybe. Yeah.
it's intellectually curious for me, or maybe just really curious for me. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah. Good one. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So what I mean, I wonder if you appreciate the immensity of what you just said. These things are not separate, right? There is no definable boundaries to these things. Everything is involved. Absolutely everything. Now, what that
Yeah,
everything is another story, isn't it? That everything is all of the conditions that are around you, plus all of the conditions that are in you. Plus, well, part of those conditions, of course, is your relationship to them, how you feel about them. Now, the
So
bits
that,
that we want to do something about are the bits that say this is happening to me. Now,
okay.
we're not about like you said something earlier that tweaks an interest here, and you were kind of like you implied that I don't want to self, I don't want to do selfing.
Hmm.
Like there's something
Well,
wrong with selfing,
I assume so. I
and is it selfing if you're selfing and you know you're selfing?
Is it selfing and you're selfing and you know you're selfing?
That
Well,
that cracks Leonard up. That one.
I'm gonna just say that I don't know enough about selfing to answer that.
Yeah, right.
I
Yeah.
can't
Well, that's
recognize selfing. I can't, I don't know what selfing is.
yeah, that's right. Well, that's good. Yeah. But these things just point to something that's very amorphous, very
Yeah.
ill-defined, isn't it?
But I mean, like, there are some concepts I can kind of recognize, but selfing is not one of them. Like, I
Yeah,
have
yeah,
really no idea what you mean or what it's supposed to
right.
mean.
So what about identification? Can you recognize when identification is forefront?
Um, Sometimes I think I snap out of it, or like,
Yes,
but
something
then,
changes. Yeah.
yeah, or like I'll realize that I had been thinking, but then I'm kind of in this no man's land that,
Yep.
uh, or sometimes you'll say something that like kind of snaps my head a little bit, and then I'm like, okay, maybe he cut through the bullshit, or I don't really know. Um, but yeah, I cannot tell you.
Mm,
This is I.
yep. So tell me, if you can, now the difference between how you're feeling right now and how are you feeling when you turned up for this meeting? What's the
What's
difference?
weird? What's weird is a good some of the tension and tightness and pain, even pain, is still there, but it's more like I have to go searching for it, or it's not the forefront.
Yep. Yep.
There isn't really a forefront right now. Like I can't say I'm present or focused on anything.
Mm,
I'm just not hyper fixating on what's wrong
yeah.
as
So
much.
we don't need to define what's different, but we can certainly recognise that something has changed, eh?
Yeah, yeah,
And that's not that's internal. That's something that's happened inside you.
sure. I don't really. I'll just say yes. That would be my. I would say yes to that, but I don't really get the whole inside outside thing.
Yes, yeah, okay. So yeah, that's good. Yeah, but the outside thing is really being able to well, when we say something out there caused it, but really, even if we were to say that, we would say something out there caused an internal shift. So, even internal is a stupid thing to say, but you get what I mean. It's not because you took a painkiller, and it's not because whatever. It's because something happened that's really indefinable.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. I don't really know what happened.
Mm. We don't.
Part
We
of me
don't.
thinks it's. it's you.
Well, that's what I mean by the outside. Even if it was me, it was your relationship to that did it. It was what you were thinking, what you were feeling, something in you changed.
Yeah, but I feel like I can't take credit for that. Which sounds, I don't know how that sounds, but I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. No, it's fine. Of course you can't take credit. It wasn't conscious, was it? You didn't do it on
or
purpose. You
maybe,
don't have
yeah,
control. So how can you take credit for
exactly.
anything? Yeah,
I can't control it. I can't replicate it.
yeah. Well, you
I can't.
you
I can't
can't
make the outside of
replicate it,
my.
but it can replicate itself. So what about this bit of logic? That because it's an experience that you've had, it can reoccur. In other words, it knows the way. We get very vague here, but it's like, whatever
So
happened.
could we talk about control a little bit because
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah.
I've definitely had some very wacky experiences of being totally out of control of my body. Stuff happening that I can't explain as me doing, stuff expressing through me, all of the stuff that's like, okay, you're out of control, or like you don't actually have control. But I could never tell you like, oh yeah, I don't have any control over anything that happens at all. I would never, ever, ever in a million years say that that's been my understanding of my experience, even if something in me doesn't want to just say that it's not my experience or
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Could you go as far as to say, and this might be too big a stretch for you, but could you go as far as to say that it what seems like control continues, but knowing that it's not actual control exists? Is that too big a stretch?
I would say that my sense of control in the places where it really affects me has not thinned out that well.
Hmm.
Like quitting my destructive habits. Like it feels like I'm the one that has to do the hard thing or that fails
Hmm.
in that.
Yeah. So this
What
this
I'm
is
thinking.
this is going to be poking the bear stuff, right? So I want you to respond to this: that you can't do quitting your destructive habits. They can change, they can dissolve, but it's not solely because of any intention on your part. Now, that doesn't mean you're out of control. It just means that you can't manipulate all of the conditions involved to make it happen.
Okay, I'm gonna agree in part that sure, there's absolutely innumerable conditions that I can't possibly know or foresee or control.
Mm. So it's on the
But
verge
there's
of there going.
it's that part of me that thinks I can control that I'm grappling with. You
Yeah,
can tell me up and down that you don't actually like you're not doing any of it. You have no actual control. But the part of me that thinks it does, or that really strongly believes it does, is very present a lot of the
yes,
time.
yeah. And what if I said that's a good thing? That's an important thing, right? Simply
That is
because,
there.
well, it's because you think the alternative to that is out of control. And that's when we recognize that we've never had control, it doesn't turn into out of control. It doesn't change. The only thing that's different is we recognize that when we thought we had control, it was just a sense of control. It was an illusion. But everything stays the same. Everything still happens the same, except that we see it happening for a different reason. So we can no longer pat ourselves on the shoulder and say, I did that. All we can do is say, isn't it great that it happened? But it's exactly the same thing. No, it's not like we become a madman that has no control over anything.
This is gonna sound silly, but I've had literal experiences where in the past it's like I had to lean into a feeling and then suddenly it was like my body was doing everything while I was kind of
Watching it.
not in control of it, but kind of scared of it, not knowing what was going to happen, watching it.
Mhm.
So that felt like out of control and like it was terrifying.
Yeah,
It doesn't bother me so much now, or I can kind of bear it, but when it doesn't happen very often, but
yeah,
it has.
yeah. So do you get that this OCD thing is all about confirming the idea that you're in control, that you do things in order to cause or not cause or stop causing something. So that's all about you being in control.
You made me smile for some reason, but I don't really understand what you're saying.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, we have the kind of classic OCD stuff, which you don't appear to have symptoms of, but like somebody's got to turn the light switch off exactly 7 times before they do that, or they've got to line up all of the knives and forks on the table so they're exactly parallel, right? Or all the chairs have to be at the
Sure.
same, all of that kind of stuff. That's the reason that happens is because there's a fear that if we don't do that, something terrible is going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, your version of that is different, isn't it? It's not like you have to line up the knives and forks or turn the light switch off a set number of times. Yours is about what goes on in your head, eh?
Yeah, although if I'm being honest, I could not tell you what my compulsions are, or maybe
Right.
just thinking,
Yeah.
because I have heard that people like compulsively think and talk to themselves.
But it's all about stopping something potential from occurring.
Maybe a little bit. It it a word I've heard once or twice recently is like orienting.
Yep. Okay.
Like a feeling will come up and it feels kind of undercooked, underdeveloped, just kind of open,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I have to like yeah orient to it so it like
Mm-hmm.
clicks into place almost
Yep.
or do the right thing.
So same again. So what what would do you imagine would be the consequences of not doing that? You don't, and not. I don't want a definition. I don't want something definite. Just if you don't orient to it, what happens? What might happen? You've probably never experienced what would happen, eh?
I don't know. My legs kind of activated a little bit. Um, I have a mild sense of not really knowing what's happening in my internal experience, or
Hmm.
just like I'm not.
So is that
It's
it,
kind of actually a kind of good feeling of like being in the flow of things, if that makes sense.
right? So what about the level of excitement in it or the level of fear in it? Is there some of that?
Yeah, they seem kind of co like I'm feeling more excitement, but I could sit with it and also see fear.
Hmm.
The fear doesn't necessarily bother me too much. I don't know what it's fear about. It's just kind of
Yeah.
vague.
And is that okay? I mean, this is another really, really big one. Being okay with not knowing is a huge part of this. Is that do you feel okay with that not knowing?
Like I could just tell you, I could shut up and leave it be, and I would be fine with it. But I think fundamentally, it doesn't make sense for me to not know. Like I don't feel threatened by not knowing, but it's just it feels like I could know, or there's something to know, or knowing is integral to me.
Hmm. Can you imagine that you could be so okay with not knowing that you really have no interest in chasing it? There might be a vague curiosity, but no energy gets expended on finding out that it's that okay. Can you imagine that's possible?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think I could. Especially
Hmm.
it when you said that I relaxed a little bit and that felt good. So
Yeah, great. Yeah, excellent. So I think that's one of the really big ones behind the whole OCD thing is that need to know that that it's well, let's put it another way about familiar and unfamiliar. But I'm just throwing that out there. You don't have to catch it if it doesn't fit, but that's worth considering, eh?
see where caught me is that second line about you don't have to catch it. Because I think I was trying to make it something maybe recognizable, maybe
Mm,
workable or understandable.
yep, yep. Would you say making it familiar?
Possibly. Yeah, there's there's something about this current feeling of unfamiliar that I don't like. It feels unpleasant.
Mm.
Maybe not totally. I don't know.
Yeah, I get that the body kind of wants to move to release stuff. That's what it looks like to me anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Or yeah. It's the I'm not there's a different quality to it maybe, but it's that same like contraction that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, lots going on actually. What do you mean by poking the bear? What are you poking?
That's just a story about, yeah, um, looking for possibilities, I guess, and being a little bit aggressive about it, I guess, would be part of that poking the bear thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but you could co-explore for possibilities, but you're poking a bear.
I overuse that saying, maybe. Mm. Well, what I'm thinking right now is that I want you to recognize that something has happened for you and not bother about what it actually is, and let it integrate, let it float around and integrate. So part of this is patience. We'll go as far as is comfortable, and just one step beyond that, and then, well, I guess that's really what I'm talking about with poking the bear, going beyond what is comfortable a little bit, but not too far. We don't want to get things, we don't want to enrage the bear so that it runs out and bites our head off. We just want to poke it so that it gets restless and shifts position and it integrates. Yeah. But that's just all metaphorical, of course. Yeah.
I can at least say that for whatever reason, that made me emotional in something way. Less pleasant. No. I'm not saying it's your fault. It's just
Yeah.
the something.
Hmm.
Here's a weird one. It feels like for the very first time, I have a tiny bit of distance from the thought of I just don't know what's going on. Like the part doesn't that wants to know but doesn't.
Hmm.
You might have cut that. It's not total distance, but
Oh, a cracker's great.
yeah.
I can't I can't emphasize enough the the appreciation here for not just not knowing. I mean, not knowing is almost irrelevant, but not needing to know, not having to chase answers, just being with what is unknowable. And everything is unknowable because it's so complicated, so subtle, so complex, so whatever. And it's beautiful. It's just fucking magic that that there is no need to know anything. But that's something to be experienced. It's not something that, we can't even just talk about it other than to maybe have that trigger
No,
something.
it's
Yeah.
I have experienced some of that, but it's just my thoughts are so frustrating because they just analyze and explain pretty logically too.
Yeah, sure.
Not
Yeah, yeah. So what if I said to you, what comes to mind here now is that intelligence has got nothing to do with thinking, but the two do get conflated in our culture. So we say
that would
that an
confuse
intelligent
me.
person must have, yeah, certain kinds of thoughts. Well, what I'm saying is it's not the case. They're not joined up at all. And you can be very intelligent in a whole lot of ways that doesn't involve thinking. Thinking might express some of it, but it's not the cause of anything.
I don't know what to do with that or what to.
Yeah, it's a bit going a little bit too far, I suspect. Yeah.
I'm not necessarily, there. There's definitely some maybe identification with being maybe a smart person or an ex smart person that now kind of doesn't reveal that part of himself when he can help it. Or
It's a bit hard to hide that you're intelligent. You
yeah,
ca yeah,
but like I get what comes to mind. Like I got bullied partly for being a smartass when I was a younger kid.
yeah.
Um, so like there were maybe times in my life where it really helped to not be me or not be smart or not be outwardly expressively smart.
Mm. Yeah, that's a tricky one, isn't it? So
Maybe
I imagine,
some
yeah,
fighting qualities I might call stupid or might look down on in others
yeah.
too. Maybe on the bullies part, if that makes sense.
Hmm. So again, very, very tricky stuff. So to recognize that we might say to recognize that your IQ is higher than somebody else's IQ doesn't doesn't necessarily mean you're superior to them. So it's that
That's
superiority
one of
that,
those things.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel the arrogance to it. It's like one of the like I want to agree that I'm not superior,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I feel
But
shitty for feeling superior.
yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah. And that's okay if you recognize it.
Yeah,
But you can also see that it just says different.
yeah.
It's a tricky one because our society puts a level of emphasis on those things that it doesn't warrant, and that makes it tricky. So I'm inclined to think that, that there's a fight that goes on for you, and this is purely my speculation. My story is that you've got, on one hand, you've got a demand on you to be smart and intelligent and do something with it, and on the other hand, you've got, I don't want to be arrogant and superior, so you want the opposite of that, and that's a big fight.
Um, I don't know. Maybe, maybe a little.
Who knows? Yeah.
Maybe more than I want to admit. It's hard to say.
Yeah, well, it's just my story, so it may or may not have anything to do with reality. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
If anything, I feel bad for the judgment of the other people.
Hmm.
It feels so
Yeah.
just
So,
ignorant, really.
so you can describe it in a kind of a objective, factual way without the judgment that goes along with it, or you can get lost in the judgment, and then it becomes just an ego thing, and then you've got problems, right? But because you've been conditioned all your life, that's really hard to do the description without the judgment. But you'll get it. Bit of practice and you'll get it. But so if judgment occurs, then it's really important that you don't judge the judgment,
Yeah. Uh,
because
yeah, I don't know.
recognizing it is all it takes for it to change, but it might take many repetitions. The body learns slow. The nervous system takes a bit of catching up. That's all. And that's goes on forever. When I get a compliment these days, there's not there's not even an inkling of pride involved with it, but I still feel embarrassed. So there's some kind of apology that goes along with that. It's kind of weird. And I make excuses or I weave a story to kind of get away from it, to get out of it. Yeah.
I think it's good to know that you still have moments like that. And I don't just mean about like compliments, just like stupid small moments that are more uncomfortable than they should be. Or I hope that doesn't come off as I want you to suffer, but just that I'm suffering or I suffer over it.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. Yeah.
Um, just say thank you. I'll say thank you. I think it's
Thank you,
time.
Jack.
Yeah, appreciate you.
And you get that I genuinely appreciate you, and I also genuinely appreciate you appreciating me.
um, that's sweet. I
Okay, well, I appreciate that. That's sweet too. Yeah. Yeah. See, so what I'm kind of trying to express here is, isn't it amazing how complicated, how complex these things are? There's no beginning or end. There's no boundary. There's no finish. There's no edge to it. It's all swimming together.
I hear you and I resonate with that, but I have no idea what caused you to say that or
Yeah,
what
yeah,
that has
yeah.
anything to do with anything.
No, I don't either. It just came out. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you, Jack. Thank you very much. I do
Okay.
appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye. All right.
What are you smiling about, Jed?
A sweet interaction.
Oh, very good. How's things been for you? You look different. What have you done? You shaved your head or something? I don't know.
Probably that, yeah. Yeah. Um, oh, I've had quite an intense time the last week at least. Uh, I think it's mainly eczema, my face, my eyes, and yeah, there's a couple of things. I mean, there's all the stuff about feelings, about what it looks like, and stories about that. Um, I mean, yeah, I kind of say that. So it's been big that, and yeah, it's kind of interesting how much it just how much there is around that, around how I look, I suppose, and how I want to look, and how I imagine people perceive and think about, how I look. So that's been um,
Revealing?
lots of grist for the mill. Yeah, yeah, lots.
Hmm.
Uh,
Do you judge that?
no, don't think so. Um,
Do
I
you find
think
it
it.
interesting?
I find it interesting, and it seems like a kind of like a big challenge to be okay with it, basically. Um,
So what about being okay with not being okay? Well, I'm serious. I mean,
yeah,
if you're
no.
not if you're not okay with it, are you okay with that?
Um, I mean, yeah, at some point, I'm okay with it. I'm not quite sure at what point of the responses and the judgments and the okayness. What am I okay with not being okay with it? I mean, yeah. Um, it's just a lot of intensity, I suppose, and I'm not quite okay with the intensity, I think. Um,
Yeah, you said intensity. You said you've had an intense week, and
mm,
I took your intensity as talking about the prevalence of these things, the prevalence of the eyes, the prevalence of the skin, the
mm.
prevalence of whatever, that it was very prevalent, and that's what you were talking about with intensity. But now you just said it again, the intensity. So what is it? What do you mean by intensity?
So there's the physical aspect of it, soreness and itchiness. Um, and kind of the physical bit of trying not to itching, yeah, becoming more uncomfortable, and then having feelings about that. So that's all that bit, and then the other intense bit is all that it triggers, uh, just the kind of appearance stuff and my feelings about how I look and that. So that's quite intense emotionally, I suppose. So there's like the emotional and physical intensities. And so I've got a story about I've got a couple of at least a couple of stories about. So when my eczema started, is when my dad left when I was a little kid to work away, and there's a whole load of like I think that was a massive trauma for me when he went and he came back and he went again, and my kind of battle with him to try and persuade him to not go and all that stuff. And I think that's when I started scratching my skin. So I've got this story, and I can kind of have a memory of it, vague memory of wanting to hurt him, wanting to scratch him, but ending up scratching myself in my sleep, and then got prescribed medicines, and so I've got this, and I can kind of find a kind of memory of boiling up with rage and frustration around that time, and doing this scratching as a kind of like a kind of self harm to kind of to release endorphins and kind of escape from the intensity. Um, so that I've been kind of going in and out of that, so to doing various kinds of healing on that stuff, and that feels really big, and it's I mean, on the one hand, I am doing the just, isn't it? It's interesting. It's an opportunity and all of that stuff, and things do seem to be clearing. Um, and there's a lot of the feelings associated with it just under the surface, or in the background, and or
Mm, mm.
coming foreground, and so yeah, it's been quite full on.
Something that occurred to me many years ago that I've played with off and on many times because I've also got an endogenous dermatitis that comes and
Oh yeah.
goes. Yeah. Um, Skin is the boundary of the body. Skin is the interface between you and the rest of the world. Skin is where contact first occurs. Did you feel abandoned by your father?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So can you relate to abandonment as being losing contact?
I mean, to me, it seems my sense of it is around losing love, losing safety, losing fun, all the things that my dad, was.
What he represents
Well,
as
what he
much
what
as
he what he provided at that time for me, he
mm,
made us feel safe. We lived in a slightly dodgy area, and he was my
yeah,
best buddy and
protector.
all that stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, playmate, all that.
So
And
when
I
he
think
left, you felt very vulnerable.
I felt very very vulnerable. Yeah, so that's a bit of it. But I think what I've been really touching on is the massive frustration because I think I really tried to persuade him not to go. He promised he would never go again, and when he came back, he shortly did go again. And so I think a bit of it is like real anger and frustration with him and not being able to, I wanted to hurt him really, I think, out of that rage. But also,
Is it
underneath that is a
is
massive sadness and grief. And,
sure?
that's
Yeah.
why the rage was there, I think.
Is he alive or dead now?
No, he's alive.
Hmm. So what's your current relationship with him like?
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I, I've gone through various phases of relationship with him, of a lot of hatred and just avoiding him. And now
Yes.
now I, what was it like now? Now I see him as a a wounded bloke who was doing his best, and there was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there were
So
reasons.
have you expressed this hurt with him, to him?
No,
Hmm.
no.
Because now you see him as this wounded person, to express that hurt would wound him more, do you think?
I mean, he's not a man of much emotional intelligence or sensitivity or self awareness. Um,
Yeah, so it would be lost on him anyway.
Possibly. I mean, I've
Hmm.
spoken a lot about speaking to with my mum. My mum's a counsellor and a social worker and all that. So there was a time when I was kind of working towards approaching him for a big old chat about it, and I did a lot about to kind of express my emotions beforehand so that I could be a bit fairly rational with him, or not have all the pent up
Hmm.
energy. But I spoke to my mum loads about it, and we kind of came to the conclusion that there wouldn't be much point.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking to your mum about it
Mm.
is about it. It's a story about it. Right. So that it's there's a distance between.
No, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a story. We don't know
Yeah.
how it would be.
Yeah. But there's an old Gestalt technique that's really valuable, and that is that you simply sit two chairs facing each other, and you sit in one chair, and you imagine him in the other chair, and you say something to him. You say, Dad, I think you're a prick, right? And then what you do is you jump in the other chair and you respond as if you were him. You respond back and you say, Oh, Jed, what do you mean? And then you jump back into Jed's chair and you say, Well, blah, 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 blah. And then you jump back into his chair and you be him and respond again. And if you do that a little bit, that is amazing stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done
So
that
that,
kind of work, Vince. I've done all kinds of psychotherapeutic work on it,
mm,
including that. Um, but yeah, there's no doubt I could do more, and more would be revealed, and maybe it's a good time to do that.
yeah, when it's at the forefront like it is now,
Yeah.
and your skin, the intensity of what goes on for you would be a good indicator of when it's appropriate to do that.
Mm.
And you're not looking to fix anything. You're not looking to end it, or whatever. You're just looking to discover
Yeah.
what's going on, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe
So I think
express.
I think the fact that that a lot of this centers on your eyes,
Mm.
I would use organ language and say, well, it's something you don't want to see,
Mm.
and this
Right.
might just reveal it, something along those
Hmm.
lines. So it's irrelevant that you've done it before, uh, because you're in a different place now,
Yeah.
and you're not as judgmental as you used to be, and so consequently, you're more able to confront stuff that comes up without the judgment chasing it away.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, and it is far more focused around my eyes now than it has been in the past. So
Mm.
maybe there's a different aspect to it that
Yeah. And
can be contacted.
if it is, say, if organ language does work for you, if it is something you don't want to see, the fact that it's so prevalent in your eyes at the moment means that you're close.
Right.
It's pushing. You know, it wants
Hmm.
to be seen, is a way to put it. Yeah.
Hmm.
And again, don't make the mistake of thinking that it's got to be clean cut and dried. It's
Mm.
just a case of whatever you do, it's just going to move things, and it may never seem like you actually know. But guess what? All of a sudden, you know, you find that the intensity is gone or something. You know,
Yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
changes at an unconscious level, and you don't need to know about what was actually going on. But just acknowledging that something is going on is a big
Hmm.
deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a classic case of, you know, Jed, I've seen you. I have a vague memory of what you were like when I first started to see you, and you're a different bloke now, completely different bloke, and that and of course it never ends, does it? We keep on finding more, and then it gets bigger spaces between them, and the intensity varies. But there you go. You know, it's just that you're just ready for this now. That's why it's here. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me of that. It's easy to forget that. Yeah. It's so easy to catastrophize and, imagine it's going to be the same forever or worse. It's just getting worse from now here on in.
Yeah, yeah, that's a real big one. That one.
And sometimes I think, well, that's possible. And so I need to be okay with that, or be okay with not being okay with that, or something. But it's I guess it's an assumption, and I think that is, as I'm saying that, I'm noticing that whenever I have some sense of how the future is going to be because of how the present is, it just makes things more difficult.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's kind of like you pour experience down a funnel, and out it's got to come out in a particular way. You know. Yeah, it's a crazy one,
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's
And so
right.
that's part of the not knowing thing is just anything is possible.
Yeah.
Anything can turn up. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. See, this is an interesting one. For me, I was sitting on the lounge earlier. Oh, only probably half an hour before this meeting started, and just below my right ankle on the inside of my foot, an itch was happening. And it was. I recognised the kind of itch it was. It was that dermatitis, and I scratched it a little bit. I didn't scratch it enough to break the skin, but I scratched it a bit, and that kind of felt good. But the itch was worse as a result of
Mm.
doing that. Right. So then I put a bit of saliva on it, right, and just sat with it while I was doing whatever I was doing, and that kind of the coolness of that had a good effect. But within a few minutes or a few seconds, it was itching again.
Mhm.
And then I got up and I went and put some cortisone ointment on it that I've got, and then I forgot about it, and it hasn't itched since. Now, was it because of the ointment? I put the ointment on it before, and it kept itching.
Mm.
What happened? I have no idea. I don't know. Anything is possible.
Mm.
It's just crazy, crazy stuff. So something happened is all I can say, and that's a logical conclusion. That well, it's not really; it's a description. Something happened, or rather, that something was that the itch is not there now.
Mm,
From experience, I would say that area is more prone at the moment, and it might flare up again. It might not, but eventually it won't. It'll appear somewhere else on the body.
mm,
That's what usually happens. But I don't know, and it might be months or even years between it happening.
mm.
Uh,
Such a strong tendency, isn't it, to want to predict the future or make sense of the causal past. It's
yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Maybe all of this stuff's about my relationship with my dad. Who
Mhm.
knows? Yep, weird stuff. Have you been, Tammy?
Hey Vince, good to hear you guys. Um, yeah, I don't think I have anything spiritual or good to say. Uh, kind of caught up in life is awful, I don't know how to fix it mode. Um, yeah, took some pictures to perhaps have pictures to put up for health coaching business or something, and they all came out awful, and now I feel that I need to fix everything about myself and maybe switch careers and do other things and just spinning in every single direction and yeah, both on the human level and on the you know internal peace level. So yeah, feeling like I have no idea how to proceed in any of it and I'm just failing at everything. So that's where I am today. How was everyone else?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So when you say you have no idea how to, the implication is that you should have an idea how to. Is that something that you can recognize?
After several decades on this planet, yes, I should be doing much better. Absolutely.
Hmm. So does that mean that you're a slow learner?
That's how slow. I mean, this is beyond slow learner. This is ridiculous. But
Oh, it's an inability to learn at all.
I don't know. I seriously do not know what is wrong with my brain. It's like, you've been here long enough. Figure it out, buddy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, have you recognised that there are 60-year-olds that look like they're 90-year-olds, and there are 90-year-olds that look like they're 60-year-olds,
It's
and
true.
that what we have is old people that are old in every way, but they're not by the number of years they've been around. And there are others who, I mean, we frequently talk about kids who are really old, old souls maybe is a way of putting it, that those young kids show a level of maturity that is surprising for the young age that they are. And then there's the opposite. There's the older people that show a level of immaturity that is not reflective at all of how long they've been alive.
Yeah, agree.
And then I just thought of, well, wonder where Tammy fits into this. And it's kind of like none of those really work for me, for you. But what I'm saying, what I'm pointing out is that really the time we've been around has got nothing to do with how wise we are or how fit we are or how anything we are. Because some of us do learn faster and some of us don't. Yeah, but I don't want to kind of turn that into something. It's so when I was being really light-hearted when I say you're a slow learner, but there's a level of seriousness about it as well. That
Yeah.
and that is that you still believe stuff that it's not because of the number of years you've been around that you could be beyond that. It's got to do with experience, and what you're experiencing now is going to have you learning faster than you've ever learned in your life before about this stuff. Maybe not about music or maybe not about, other things that you've done, but certainly about this stuff. And I want to say again, it's not spiritual, it's human we're talking about. I mean, there's a level of spirituality in it, but it's ancillary. It's just coincidental in a way. It's a secondary thing. It's got nothing to do with. It's not a primary thing. Primarily, we're looking at a human level of operating, what somebody called adaptive or maladaptive. I like those terms.
Yeah. And I guess there's a level of like, I feel some people don't have awareness or they're not mindful or they're just kind of do stuff, but I feel with the amount of attention I've put on my life for so many years, I should be further along. But if I look at other things, I'm very quick in some ways, like very sharp and very quick, and very slow in other ways. I mean, it took me very long time to learn certain things, like learning right and left, or how to tell time on a clock, or like algebra. But now I help all my siblings up to the point of master's degree, like in all their homework, no matter if I've learned that subject or not. Like, in other words, I can really help. But it
Mm,
took me, like, I would come to class and each time they would say, I was like, why are there letters in the numbers? And they would tell me, and I would be like, okay, I kind of get it. And next time I was like, wait, what? And it took me months and months of asking again and again and again until it was really, I mean, it took, and like my nephew the other day learned how to fold. He just turned 4. He can fold like a circle into a three-cornered thing. And that took me, like, all of us learned that when we were 10. And he's like, he didn't understand it 3 times, was a little frustrated, and now he could do it. He like can open a bottle cap at the age of 2. And I'm like, wow, I really am really behind. I mean, this is unbelievable. They blow my
mm.
mind. But yeah.
Yeah, it just shows you we can't put anybody in a particular category, can we? So I mean, some of those people that have trouble learning, like you just described, would never go very far with their learning. And here you are, you've gone to that, as you say, master's level of that. So it took you a long time to get to a certain point, and then you probably went a lot faster to the rest of the way. So it's yeah, there's no categorization that works. everybody is so unique in that way. Yet we want to put everybody into categories, don't we? That's part of what we've been taught.
Yeah, just seems like at this life stuff, everyone just tells me I'm just, I don't know, causing needless suffering or doing it all wrong, and I just don't know how to do it better. But
Yeah. But when I tell you you can't possibly do it wrong, you don't believe me? You don't get what I mean?
I mean, it seems to me that I'm the definition of doing it wrong because I'm neither, you know, successful on the human level at having my life together, nor on the internal level of finding peace. So it seems wrong on both levels. So I don't know what you could mean, but
Well,
I'm open to being
what if
comforted.
this is just the same as learning algebra, you know, that you're at that beginning stage where things do go a bit slower than normal. Well, that's a shitty thing to say. It's not, there's no normal, but things seem to be going slow, right? So it takes you a bit. But when you get there, you'll get it better than lots of people will. And I shouldn't compare, but you know what I mean? You know, I'm just saying that when you get there, you'll take it to a master's degree. So, you know, it's just that beginning stuff that seems slow when you compare to other people or when you compare to an ideal that you've got in your head. But as I said once before, you know, you look forward and time goes really slow. You look back and it happened really fast.
Yeah.
You know, I did that seeking for 45 years or more, really. I did it for a lot longer, but I was officially doing it for 45 years. From the time I decided that I wanted to get enlightened, it was
Mm,
45 years. And when I look back on it now, that was about 7 minutes.
mm.
It seems crazy, doesn't it? But, you
Were
know,
you clear on your path, though? In other words, did you have a way that you were going to go about it and it just wasn't happening? Or did you keep on saying this isn't working and try other things? Like, how did you go about it? Like,
hell, I tried all sorts of different paths. I
yeah.
started off, my first thing was with religion was my first foray, and that lasted for about, I suppose, 2 or 3 years. Then I moved into something else and something else and something else and something. Well, I tried a million different things, and just like all seekers, you know, when this one didn't seem to be working, I moved on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And you know what? It only happened when I stopped with all of that. And I'm not saying it's because I stopped all of that. That just seemed to be the what happened. You know, suddenly I came to a stop.
Mm,
And was all of that seeking necessary? Well, I can presume it was because it led me to a certain place. But that's a logical thing as well. Was it just the time? Was it that the luck god shone down on me? What what? Who knows what it was? We can't say. We don't know. But if I did know, I'd share it with you. You could have some of it for sure.
mm,
But you know what? I do know something, and I do know that you try too hard, and not trying too hard doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean exasperation. It doesn't mean resignation. Not trying too hard happens or not. You can't control it. You can't do it. You can't decide to not try hard because that's your nature, isn't it? Your nature is to keep going flat out, try hard, try hard. And how can it be wrong? It is the way it is. Can't be wrong. Can't be right either. It just is the way it is.
That's another thing that's weird to me. It's like people are like, accept yourself, love yourself. And I'm like, this face, this body, this mind, this spirit, these moods, it's weird to call it myself because I didn't choose them. I would never have created it this way. So it's
Absolutely.
weird to
Yeah.
say accept yourself. I'm like, this isn't my, if you want me to accept something and call that myself, then I'm going to fashion it in a way, you know what I mean? Like if you say
Yeah.
accept that one, maybe. But for me, it's like if you want me to,
Well,
I don't want to
you,
accept. I want to create it in the way that I,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but
But see, just as you had no say in how you looked or how your mind works or how your body, how efficient your body is or what's gone wrong with your body, just as you had no say in any of that, you have no say in anything.
it feels like I have say and that I should have say. And like I have a little say and I should have more say. And that's why I keep yelling at myself. But I guess I can't help that either. But in other words, it's like it's so easy. Just, do X, Y, and Z. Stop being fearful. Stop being anxious. Have more good habits. Don't be that like just seems easy to
They're
get your
only easy
mind
to
in order,
say.
but it just doesn't happen.
They're easy to say. They're not easy to do
Yeah.
because you can't do it. So I can say you've got no control, and that's just words that don't mean anything to you. Even if you can see that you frequently decide something and then something different happens, you still don't get that you didn't have control. You still believe that you got control or that you would have control if only you knew how to exercise it.
Mm,
And that's where all of your attention is on that.
yeah.
And that's fine if you accept that, then that will lead you through to a recognition that it's an illusion. But it's the impossible to grasp, the should be able to part, because that's an ideal. And how can you can never touch an ideal, can you? It's a concept that you take to be real. So it's not that you have control and that you exercise control. It's that you should be in control and you feel like you're not. Does that ring a bell for you? Does that
I
resonate?
think I lost you there.
Yeah. So we've been talking about control, like you haven't actually got control, and you think you have.
Mm-hmm.
But it occurred to me just then as I was talking that that's not really the issue for you at all. The issue is really not that you've got control, but that you should have control.
Yeah. I'm
And
failing miserably. I'm abdicating my
yes,
responsibility and I
yes,
should be doing better. Absolutely.
right. And that should have control, right? The have control part is an ideal. It's a concept. It's a story.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's nothing tangible for you to grab onto. It just is a belief about yourself that you're a failure at being in control and being able to do things. And then you've got all of these other stories like you've been trying for decades, and so consequently you should be further advanced than you are. right? Should be, should be, should be. You get that? And the reality is that you can see that you don't have control, but because you think you should have, you then judge yourself as a failure.
Because it seems like I have control over some things, and so I figure if I just tried harder or in the right way, I'd have control over all the things
Okay,
or
tell
over
me what
much more
you
percentage.
tell me one thing you have got control over.
Well, I'm on this
Simple,
extremely
really simple thing. Yeah.
I'm on this extremely strict food plan so that I can avoid taking medications. And that seems to be something that if I write down everything I do and eat and plan it and constantly research this, I'm able to do that and have less symptoms and avoid medication thus far. So that seems something like I can control the things that I eat or don't eat some of the time or most of the time. Um,
Now, wait a minute, wait a minute. So some of the time and most of the time, but
well,
not
it's
not.
complicated because
Yeah,
it took me several years to be able to be on this food plan 100%. And I am now 100%, which I never thought would be possible. But, do I sometimes have a tablespoon more of something? I don't know. In other words, I don't know. You can get into micromanaging it, but basically, I'm totally on this food plan. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so it seems to you that that intention eventually worked out, and therefore you've got control.
Right. And also, Vince, a big reason why I think is because of being raised in God put us on this earth to, perfect or improve ourselves and others, to bring light, to uplift, all this kind of thing. So
Mm,
that's really, if God said I'm supposed to be in control of myself and perfecting myself and others, then who am I to say, you know what I mean? In other words, it's that kind of, that's why we're here. It's not even like a
right.
question.
Okay. Yeah, I have trouble with that one.
Yeah.
Um, eh, yeah.
And maybe that's true in the sense that we're supposed to wake up or something, and then, naturally it kind of evens out or balances out our insanity and there's more goodness and stuff. But so maybe I'm going about it wrong. Maybe that's what was meant. But I think just on the basic human level of being a kind and decent person and, working on your anger, working on your fear, like all that kind of stuff,
Mm,
being polite and kind and orienting towards being of help. Has been really something I focused on since I'm a kid. But
mm, mm.
and then I would get mad at myself because I'm like, yeah, you're really polite and kind and helpful all day, but look, you got a bit angry, or look, you're a bit sad. Like, what's wrong with you? God wants you to be perfect. So it's like that kind of
Well, if you use this kind of logic to say God wants you to be perfect, God made you perfect, didn't he? And if you have anger, isn't that also God?
no, he put it there for you to work on and conquer. In other words, this world is
Right.
like trials and tribulations. You're supposed to overcome them, all this kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a head scratcher.
Yeah. Yeah. So, at a basic level, if God created everything and there is a devil, then God also created the devil.
We
Now, I
don't
know
so much
that,
speak about devil. We more speak about the inclination to do not great things or the inclination to do good things, and you're supposed to feed the
right,
other.
but if God made you, why would he give you that ability? Why would he give you that inclination? That
To
doesn't make
overcome
sense to
it.
me.
This world, the whole world doesn't make sense to me, Vince. Why is there suffering? Why are there kids born beautiful and then people educate them to idiocy? I mean, the whole thing makes zero
Yeah.
sense to me. But that's a whole other question.
Yeah. See, the problem is that we can only talk about this at an intellectual level.
Yeah.
And what I feel like I know,
Mm.
and I'm trying to choose my words carefully here. What I feel like I know from experience is that the whole world is me, and I am the whole world. That there's no distinction, there's no separation, there's no them and me, us and me and the world, right? That everything in the world is somehow part of me. And this might sound sacrilegious, but it's part of that same experience is that I can only describe it that I am God and God is me, and you are me and I am you, and the mountain is me and I am the mountain, and there is no separation anywhere. There is no segregation. There is no difference. There just as there is no right and wrong. It all is just what it is. And things might seem to be wrong, like when you get food poisoning and you start vomiting and get diarrhea, that might seem to be wrong until you recognize that it's your body trying to get rid of the toxins and clean out and heal. And that makes what seems to be wrong okay. And all the wrong in the world is a version of that. It's the healing. It's the fixing up. It's the cleaning out. So this is anyway. Uh, that's that's my version of God anyway.
That well, well, first of all, in terms of the cleaning out, I mean, God could have created a world where none of that was necessary. In other words, where it's
No,
all
why would he
just,
do that? Well, he didn't do that. It didn't happen
right,
like that.
right. So
Uh, so
that's
it is.
weird that he
Uh,
didn't, but
so who are we to judge what's wrong and what's right? If it is, it is.
yeah. And what you say about you are the world and the world is you, but what do you mean you are God and God is you? In other words, that's the source, to the creator of the world. How is that
No,
you
there's
would say?
no separation. Nobody. The everything that is created is created. It's not created by somebody or something. It's not separate from. It is all part of the same thing. So God expresses himself as people and the world and every other planet and every other star and everything in between those things, every other blank spot, everything. Right? There is no separation. There is no creator. Right? So is he got a big long white beard sitting up on a throne and he magically creates the world? No. That's a simplistic kindergarten version of how things happened. The whole everything in the Bible happened in about a 50 square mile radius in the world. It's only a fraction of what actually went on. The whole thing, the whole thing is just so complex and so complete, and the infinity is really part of it. And that we can't, as a human, we can't even begin to get a hold of that one. Just as we can't begin to get a hold of everything being one. It's just something that you can experience, will experience one day.
Mm,
And it doesn't make any sense to talk about it. It's not logical. There's no logic to it. When we
mm,
try and describe it, we have to cut it up into bits and pieces to try and talk about it. So it doesn't work. So,
You're
So
saying that
yeah, go on.
intellectually, it's all, we can just talk in the head till we're blue in the face, but you're saying your experience is that everything is one and everything is okay.
And that's my version of it too. That is also
Mm-hmm.
the way I experienced it. So I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
that's right. I'm not saying it's ultimate, or penultimate. It is just the way I saw it. My experience, and that's just, I like it. It just feels good. And I can only see the Christian version or any religious version as being kindergarten level stuff.
The way I see it is more, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter, but
Yeah, no, it's not. We're definitely not going to get into a fight about who's right or wrong or anything like that. No,
no,
that's not.
no. I was
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
say the opposite. I was going to say I think there are people that understood what you understand, and then they tried to make religions around it for people that didn't see that, in order to just make some
yeah,
kind of order in the world that made more sense according to that higher vision. But most of the
yeah.
people get lost in the weeds of the religion rather than where it's pointing to. I don't know. That's just some idea I
Absolutely,
have,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. The way I understand it, and again, who knows how true it is, but it's written that Buddha definitely said, "Do not make a religion out of this." And I think it's true of Jesus also said, "Do not make a religion out of this." And I think I don't know, but I'm rather imagining Muhammad would have said, "Do not make a religion out of this." But people went and did anyway,
mm,
you know. So it's just like, yeah. And I get why people do that, but then of course it gets distorted and becomes something other than what it was intended. So, I can see a lot of Christians who are avidly Christian who don't behave at all like Jesus. Anyway,
I mean, they don't water ski. No, I was just being funny. But anyway,
mm,
um,
yeah. So I don't. What I'm saying, like there's a level of sophistication. The logic that you've got is a problem. The
mhm.
logic that God wants you to be different to how you are, and if you are how you are, then that's what God wanted. If God made you, so it doesn't work for me for you to say I should be different. God made me this way so I could learn to be different. God, what a bastard he is. He
Yeah,
wouldn't
but
do
like
that.
if you had a kid, wouldn't you tell them, "Hey, don't hit people, don't scream." Like, I don't know. In other words, there's a way that you believe we should be better,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And it's not a, so that's the thing, you see. It's one thing to say you should be better and let's apply discipline, right? So at the moment, we've got in this country a big thing about anti-Semitism, you know, and what I say to you is, well, at the same time as we've got anti-Semitism, we've got a distinct shift to the right in the politics going on in this country, right? And it's all about immigration. And those people over in the right are saying, you know, very racist things, very, very racist things. And at the same time, we've got a government saying we've got to stamp out anti-Semitism. And I'm saying discipline isn't going to do this. All discipline will do is drive it underground. So there's a cause. Why are our prisons full? Discipline hasn't worked for years and years and years. We've been throwing people in prison in order to stop crime, and it hasn't worked because we just need more prisons. But discipline is not the answer. We've got to look at what causes that stuff. And it's all about disharmony. It's all about having these stupid stories about how I should be instead of recognizing how I am and allowing it to change. I'm sorry, I'm up on a soapbox here. I'll get down. I don't see any evil in the world. I can only see sick people, people out of balance.
So I'm out of balance, Vince. What do we do?
Yeah, but you recognise you are, which is a huge step, and you are having some experiences of being more balanced, even though they might be short-lived. You are having those experiences, and so things are moving, and you are persistent, and that's a huge thing. And the consequence is that you'll get there. So the fact that you can say, I'm out of balance, what do we do? That's big. That's really, really big.
Hmm.
So something as fundamental as that control issue is one portal that you could go through, but there are others as well. But that one I think is a very big one for you. Right now, you can say that you got where you are with your diet because of all of the research that you did and all of the effort you put into it and so on. And none of that is not true. It is all true, right? That they were some of the circumstances that allow that happening to coalesce into what it is now. But logically, if you've got control, you would always have control. What I'm saying is that a whole lot of conditions came together for that to happen. And it seemed like, because of one of the conditions being your intention, that you then jumped from that into I've got control. But if you say I've got control in this area, but I haven't got control in that area, doesn't that say that you haven't got control at all? It just seems like you have, and it
I don't
seems
know.
like you fail. Well, if you've got control, you've got control. And there is no escaping that you've got full control. You can't
But you said
have
my
partial
intention.
control. It's not control. Sorry.
Sorry, but when you said my intention is part of it, that sounds like that's the part that was under my control. As if like my intention was
Oh,
under my
okay, then
control, and that's part of the condition. So,
where did the intention come from? What were the conditions that produced that intention?
okay, so you don't feel that part is my control either. It's not like I did that right and then it added to other conditions and was,
Well, what I can say is that so for a start, you had the idea from somewhere turned up that said, if you change your diet, that will have this effect, right? Where did that idea come from? And then the
yeah.
follow-up about doing the research that came up with what the diet is about. Where did that idea come from? Right, so you happen to see this bit of research or that bit of research, and so that gave you that idea. And if in future you come up with another bit of research that changes that a little bit, you'll adopt that one too. But where did it come from? It's circumstances. You just happen to be in the right place at the right time to come across that. You happen to meet the right person that mentions something. You happen to hit on something on your computer. You know, those ideas, you didn't intend for any of them, yet they're part of the intention that was formed. See, all right, let's say this then. It comes down to cause and effect, right? If you say one or two things cause that to happen, where do those one or two things come from? And aren't those one or two things also dependent on a whole lot of other conditions? And did you have any control of those conditions, or were they seemingly objective?
So my own volition plays no part. You're saying even the desire and the energy within me to pursue one of the ideas is not of myself.
No,
It's
I'm not
just
saying that.
happening.
No, your own volition is part of it, but it's an end. It just happens. It
Hmm.
happens because of your personality. It happens because of all of the conditions that turn up for you that shape that ambition, volition. So certainly it's a part of it. Nothing is excluded, but what I'm saying is that none of it is under your control. It only seems like it's under your control because you
Yes.
simplify things in your mind and
Hmm.
say, I intended and therefore that happened.
Hmm.
And what I'm saying is that intention was a result of a million different conditions that turned up. And the shaping of it was also a result of all those conditions that turned up for that.
I think the issue I have is that taking this as an idea, it's very easy to say, well, it all just happens or it doesn't. It's easy to use it to abdicate responsibility or doing. You know what I mean? To say, well, if the idea turned up and then the
Yeah,
desire to and the idea to follow it turned up, then it'll happen.
right. Okay, I get that. Now that's another big
Yeah.
one. You right. So you're saying abdicate responsibility like that's a thing. Now what I'm going to tell you is this: responsibility is a joke. There is no such thing as responsibility. Right? I get what you mean when you say the word responsibility, but you're not talking about ability to respond, are you? You're talking about some moral issue about what should be the case. That's what you're talking about with responsibility, aren't you? Right?
Things
So
that I
there's
need to
no
take
such
care of.
there's no such thing as responsibility because conditions decide things, not the stories about how you should be. I mean, if you belong to any of the Western cultures, you're going to have one version of responsibility. If you belong to an indigenous tribe anywhere in the world, you're probably going to have a different version of responsibility, right? The American Indians, for example, their responsibility is to the land, right? The same as the Aborigines in Australia. You know, their responsibility is to their heritage, which includes the land. They personalise the land. Whereas if you belong to a Western society, then the idea of responsibility is something different. So it's not nothing actual. It's just what we believe. Responsibility. So how can you abdicate a concept?
It's just I guess
See
it's
how these things tie up together?
yeah.
And so you've got to have control to be responsible. And then you've got to be a person to do all of that. And that's not true either. Where's the person? Who is Tammy? Is Tammy all these stories about that body under those conditions in that place? And is that the same Tammy as that was there yesterday, or 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or will be there in future? No, there's no Tammy. There's only stories that we call Tammy. So if there's no Tammy, how can there be control? How can there be responsibility?
Well, yeah, and also as relate to what Jack just wrote. So you just go around feeling as if you're just watching the Vince person do stuff, or do you feel like you're doing stuff?
Neither are true. I
Hmm.
can do both. I can describe it as Vince doing stuff, but that's just a description. It's not related to what actually happens. And I don't watch Vince. I'm not outside of Vince watching Vince.
Hmm.
There is just happening all day, every day, and very little of that gets written down into memory.
Hmm.
So again, I can talk about that stuff, but it's of no value to you. That's your version of that will be different to mine, but your version of that can only be experienced.
I guess it
But
just
do
boggles.
you,
Sorry.
yeah, go on.
No, you say.
I was going to say, do you get that um, what we've been talking about might shake up your idea of Tammy and Tammy's ability?
Yeah, it's just really weird. It's mind-boggling because it's like
Yes,
my
great.
whole my whole existence is predicated on the fact that if I wanted to and tried hard enough, I should look like a Barbie doll and have the brain of a Barbie doll. In other words, just very pleasant, light, and walking around like, hello, with no issues.
Uh,
And I'm like,
doesn't that crack you up? Oh, that I just find that that's hilarious, doesn't it? I mean, I should look like Superman. When I was a kid, I used to look in the mirror and go, "Why haven't I got a dimple in my chin like Superman has?" You know, I
yeah.
was a failure because I didn't have that dimple. Yeah. And of course, Superman was only somebody on TV at the at that stage. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get it. It's got to be hilarious for you, hasn't it? Because I'm guessing you don't look like a Barbie doll.
Well, if I really tried in the right lighting and I sucked in that and the lighting was there, you never know. For a second, you might get a glimpse, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope you never become a plastic doll.
mm, they just seem they seem
Yeah,
enlightened. They're always pleasant and equanimous. And so,
yeah, and dead.
yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, some part of me really still believes that I'm failing because if I tried hard enough, my internal state and external state, but mostly my internal state would be very
yeah.
different. So yeah, there's the control thing, but I don't know what else to do. In other words, it just
Well, that's great. Say that again. I don't know what else to do. Say that again.
Vince, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying, but um
No, but I believe you when you say I don't know what to do. You know, it's true. You don't know what to do. I believe you.
I've been doing everything that I can think of and I'm still here and it's like really perplexing. Like what is wrong with you that you haven't figured all this out yet? And you still seem to be doing things all wrong and it's you're not succeeding on any level to
Yeah, and
advance.
I
And
tell you again and again, but you presumably don't believe me, that you can't. What you expect you can do is impossible, right? If I said fly, I want you to fly above the ground. I want you to flap your wings and get up 6 foot above the ground. You'd just think I was crazy, wouldn't you?
I would probably try Vince, but
And I think you're crazy to think that you can do these things that are absolutely impossible.
because sometimes you can make magic and that's the confusing part.
Yeah, right. Okay. So, look, I agree with you. Sometimes you can make magic, but
Like even just my old ladies, like I give them a few things. If I come in with the right energy, they sound completely different after a few
yes,
prompts. Or
yeah,
someone comes to me really depressed and you're able to, there's so many things where magic can be created that it feels
yeah, I
like, if
agree
I
with
just
you.
tried
I
hard
agree.
enough. Like you could be a
Yeah,
little psychic and you could somehow make magic and like,
yep.
yeah.
But, but don't you get yet that when magic does happen, it's not possible to know everything that's involved in it. So you can set out to try and make magic and no magic will happen. And then on another hand, you can be walking along the road and all of a sudden magic occurs. So it's not predictable and it's not controllable. But you can put
It
yourself in
seems
the way of it more, but not by trying to control it.
it seems that it comes through tremendous effort. That's an activation. That's what it seems to come when I really try. But
Yeah. And it's not because you really try, it's because something happens when you really try. But yeah, and that's a bit obscure, but okay. Yeah. So
if that something
what I'm
doesn't
saying to
happen when
you
I
is,
don't really try, then
yeah,
hmm,
well, yeah, let me tell you, when magic occurs for me, it's when I don't try.
wow, that's fun.
Mm. I'm available for it is probably a better description.
Hmm. That sounds nicer.
Mm. Yeah. Language is a problem. So what I want to say to you is just relax. Just let go and watch and things will happen. But they're only words and you can't do that, can you? You know, that will happen or not happen.
Yeah,
But
it's the
you can
opposite of
see
my
the
strategy, but
difficulty in using control to relax. It's a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it?
yeah. And when you feel you're failing, even when you're trying your hardest, it's very hard to go the opposite direction. It's
Mm.
more courage than you'd expect to even
Yeah,
attempt that for 1 minute. Seems scary, but I will
yeah,
try to listen to you, Vince, because
yeah. And I know you do, Tammy. I know you do. So one trick that's become a bit of a big thing for me recently is that whatever's going on includes your relationship to it, right? So if something's going on and you're not happy about it, then being not happy about it is part of it. It's included in it. It's not separate to what's going on.
mhm.
Now that's a really big one. I can't emphasize that one enough. And if you might or might not get what I'm saying, right? So something happens and you don't want it to happen. That's not wanting it to happen is part of the happening. And if you judge not wanting it to happen, that's also part of the happening. So it gets very complex very, very quickly. And all the things that are involved in it, only some of them we're aware of. It's very complex all the time.
Mhm.
So there's an invitation there to accept that we can't know the ins and outs of everything. And if we can't, that kind of puts control out the window again too, doesn't it?
I guess it puts me a lot in indecision. Like that's a huge thing for me. So much of my time is spent, well, should I
Yes.
go here or do that all day? I'm
Now,
like so indecisive
yeah,
because I'm trying to make conditions right for stuff good to happen,
yeah.
but
Now, but when you're indecisive, how do you feel about being indecisive?
awful and like a ridiculous failure. I should just take life easier or know better what to do without having to obsess about it.
Right.
Like,
And do you get that that's part of your experience? The indecision
mhm,
is only one aspect of your experience, and this other stuff is another aspect of it, but it's all part of your experience.
mhm,
And that very quickly we can get down to a level of stuff that is part of it that we don't know about. They're too subtle. They're hardwired into the body. They're beliefs that are not conscious, but they're all part
mhm,
of it as well. And we don't
mhm,
have to know about them. We don't have to know. We just all we can see is what is our interpretation of our current experiencing. That is the totality of what is actual for us. So what's under the hood, the unconscious stuff, although it's part of it, it's unconscious and we don't know what it is.
mhm,
So very, very quickly we can only ever know a tiny part of anything. And that's okay. That's the way life is. And when you
Even
get
there, I
there, you
yeah,
go on.
sorry.
No,
Even
you go.
there, I have so much trouble because I feel if I just am subtle enough and quiet enough and tune in enough, I can, you say these things are unknowable. I'm like, no, no, no. I can tap into the subconscious, or I can sense what the moment needs. Like I tap into these things of like I should be so subtle and so sensitive because sometimes it seems that I am, and I can know
Yep,
intuitively what to do. And I feel like if I could just live there, and then everything would magically fall into place, kind of thing. So that's where I'm like, ugh, you're on the surface turbulence. You should be deep within this receptive mode, and you can walk through life somehow like
yeah,
in this
yeah,
sensitive receptive mode where everything falls into place because you're just so in tune with the energies of blah blah blah.
yeah, yeah. And you certainly can be more sensitive and more aware of things, but you're only going to get to a certain level, and then beyond that level, you can't get to it.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, you might be able to get further, but you'll never get all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've got a whole lifetime of experience involved here. All this stuff in your brain. We just can't even begin to imagine the stuff that's stored in our brain, experiences that we had 40 years ago or whatever. They're all the effect of them, not the thing themselves, but the effect of
Mm-hmm.
them is there. And we can't
Mm-hmm.
know about all of that all at once. We just know the end result. And even that we don't know. We just know that it exists.
So you're saying that trying to change myself or life or tune into the sensitivity or constantly change my experience or my state of consciousness is futile because life is much greater than me and I'm never going to get to the bottom of it. So just relax and go shopping or something, or go take a walk.
Yeah, but I'm not saying I'm not. Yeah. So what I recognize is that by nature, your inclination is for something. Your inclination is to not suffer, to be a good person, etc. Right, and that's going to prevail anyway, regardless of what you do. That's something that will prevail. It'll keep on happening. Right. So you can say, I recognize that I don't have control. If it actually happens, you could say that, but that doesn't for a moment mean you'll be out of control. To say that I don't have free will doesn't mean that everything is deterministic, right? Because we don't go from one thing to the opposite. We go from one thing to where it's a non-event. So it disappears into the nothingness of everything. I don't mean to get woo-woo about it, but what I'm saying is that the idea, a lot of people resist the idea of no control because they think they've got control, and they think if they give up control, they'll be out of control. Right?
Mm-hmm.
When the reality is they never ever actually had control. It was always an illusion. And that when they recognize that illusion, guess what? Nothing is different except the idea that they've got control.
Mm-hmm.
And the consequence is that they'll approach things differently. So it's kind
And
of
it
like a
wasn't,
weird one. Yeah.
mm-hmm. And it wasn't even the idea that they're a person who has control that was like maybe that was the thing that was holding their behavior in check. And once that idea dropped, then their behavior would be out of check. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So a lot of people fear that. A lot of people fear that they'll become that. A lot of people, are afraid that when they get enlightened, that they'll stop caring about their loved ones. Well, that's
mm,
crazy. That just doesn't happen. Right? In
mm,
fact, what they'll find is that they'll love strangers more than they ever thought possible.
mm,
It's not like, we don't care anymore. It's that our old idea of caring transmutes into something more realistic.
mm. All right. I'm going to take with me, relax. You're not in control. You never were in control. Go enjoy. You're fine.
Or not. If you don't enjoy it, that's okay too. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Tammy. You,
Thanks so much, Vince.
I love the way you make me think. And I say that and then I think, wow, I didn't think at all, but whatever came out. Yeah.
Mm, thanks. Appreciate you very much, Vince.
You too, Tammy. I you. Yeah, that's great. Mm. How have you been, Stelios?
Hi, Vince. All good. Since the last time we talked about values and stuff, there are many turbulence again that I thought it was calm. But anyway, it was up and down. I could be in and out of it. I would like to say two things to time. I have put a link that I saw recently from a video that is mostly a scientific video explaining that many people in different parts of the earth many years ago saw the truth. Okay, so they tried to leave a map. The problem is that, as you said, the language is so poor to describe the truth. But it's a very detailed video about all the things we talk about in a more scientific way. So it will be good to just watch for entertainment. It's very good video. The other thing is that yesterday I had a really full day. I was out of the house running up and down. And the moment that I got home, I could see that I could not be in the body. I could not be in the mind. It was both of them very stressed. So then I had the realization, what the fuck are you doing? You're just tired. Go to bed. Because I was exhausted. It was impossible to put energy. And even the effort to
Mm.
put energy is a doer. So I go to bed, and have you noticed that just before you fall asleep, your mind making stories? Is this an experience for you? Just
No.
lie. No. So you fell asleep and you're empty.
Well, I don't know what happens when I'm asleep, but no, I put my head down and I'm asleep pretty quickly.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And I
I
don't,
noticed many years
yeah.
that just before you go to sleep, there is some mumbling going on. And I think my interpretation of this is that maybe this is the reason that we have stories, because it's a basic mechanism to human beings.
Yeah.
Our minds saying stories. So maybe these mechanisms putting stories to just make us relax and in the particular case go to bed, or let's say we're raised in the jungle, we wouldn't have so many stories as we do today. So maybe it's a mechanism to reflect and make you relax and move on.
Yeah.
But
I
now
suspect that. Yeah.
we're in a constant stress that we're all stories all day long that we cannot wake up. So the reason is because we cannot be unstressed. Do you get what I mean?
A bit. Yeah.
That maybe the reason of the stories is make the nervous system relax.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But whereas only in the stories, so we cannot see the difference. Because also
Yeah.
for this experience to have stories, it has to be a reason as a mechanism. And I think if we didn't have all this language information and stuff, we wouldn't have so many stories. So if we see it in this perspective, I'm awake now, I don't need the stories.
Mm. Yeah.
I
I
mean,
suspect that's exactly what happens. That it's a version of healing, you might say, or a version of cleaning up goes on. and we can probably have those stories and not even know we're having those stories, but they still have the effect of that, you know. So I recognize sometimes when I dream, you know, and I don't remember the dreams afterwards, but they've had an effect on me.
Yeah. You
So I
wake up
must,
and you have the.
yeah, I'll have to look tonight when I go to bed. I'll look to see if I'm having stories as I go to sleep. But if I do, and I may well do, but I don't remember them. You know,
Me
so I
neither.
kind, yeah, I go to sleep very quickly when I go to sleep. When I put my head down, I can go to sleep. I get up in the middle of the night because the dog wants to go out for a pee, and when I let it back in and go back to bed, I'm asleep in seconds. You know, it
Perfect.
very, very easily, very quickly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
For me,
But
it's
if
not
I
that I see. Yeah.
I was going to say, if I get to sleep in the morning and I can stay in bed for an extra couple of hours, then I hover in a funny twilight zone a lot, and that's when I do a lot
Mhm.
of my dreaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During the day. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
You are in between.
mm, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, when I talk about that, I see stories, it's not stories that make sense or particular words.
Yeah.
Some rambling and you feel like you have the TV on just to hear something to fall asleep. The same thing, that's something that doesn't make sense, but saying
Yeah.
something cools you down and you fall asleep. And maybe
Yeah.
when you are fall asleep, this transforms into a dream.
Yep.
But
So it
when
could
we
be the
wake
other way
up,
around too. It could be that the stories are the result of something rather than the cause of something. Right? So one of the things I've read about is that when you go to sleep of a night, your brain actually shrinks, gets smaller, and that the lymph system cleans out toxins that have built up in the brain, and that happens around the outside of the brain, but inside the skull, and that's a cleanup that happens every night when you go to sleep. And maybe these stories are the result of something like that happening.
yeah, I see the mechanism like this. Yeah. That's why I said if we are in the jungle, we would have much less stories and will be just a less cleanup. But now we don't make the distinction
Mm,
because we're 24/7 stories since we're raised up.
yeah. So if the mind is aware of something, it wants to make sense out of it, and so what it'll do is put it into a story form.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a
And
tricky one, and it's a bit kind of, how can I put it? I don't like to say the word advanced, but it's 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 beyond beginning stage when you start to realize that it's stories all the way down. You know, there are stories upon stories upon stories upon stories, and that everything has got stories. And some of those stories we don't have any idea about what they are, but they're hard coded, hardwired into the body. But they still came from stories. They're still an expression of beliefs that we have about how things work. So it's
and
very,
they
very,
should be.
very tricky. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that I wanted to say to Tammy, if she's still listening, that I did the same way as Tammy, is that I think she's trying too hard, and I can imagine her as she was talking that let's say now she's stressed. Now there is a new mechanism that tells her that okay, maybe I should observe and see how I feel and explain. And I used to do this, and this is a huge effort and requires a big doer to do this. So at some point, I was so tired of me trying to realize and explain every fucking single second that is happening in my mind, in my body, in my. So your advice is the best. Just relax, and the moment you catch yourself trying to explain reality that you think that you are doing a good thing. If it doesn't work, drop it and do something that relaxes you. I think the more we put ourselves in things that relaxes us, we have the tools and some glimpses will come easier. But if I try as a huge doer,
Yep. She heard you. Mm.
Thank you very much,
yes,
Delios. I appreciate that. Yeah,
no
it's
problem,
definitely
Tammy.
what I do. Yeah, I'm thinking all
Yeah,
the
me too,
time
me
and
too,
explaining. Yeah.
me too, me too. And I sick about it, so that's why I'm telling you. The moment you catch yourself, okay, now I have to analyze anything, mm, it's not the best time to do it. And if you find some ways to relax that really help you, maybe then it happens on its own.
Hmm. Thank you. Yeah, that's the hardest advice for me, but I'm hearing it from both of you and I will definitely try. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Also, don't try too hard.
You know me too well.
Yeah, I do, and I love you, Tammy. Hi, Phoebe, sitting in the dark. Oh, we're going.
Hold on. Okay, can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, Phoebe.
Oh, hold on. I've got to just a second. Oh. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, I can't hear you though. I can't
Oh,
figure it out.
okay. Right. What about now? I can hear you fine.
Hold on, I'm going to my settings to see if something's. Turn Bluetooth off. Okay.
What about now? Can you hear me now? No,
All
no,
right.
no.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
okay. Yeah, I can't.
Great.
Vince, I don't. Hold on a second. Let me see if I got my other. Ah, this is frustrating.
Well, that's the nature of technology, isn't it? It's frustrating. Can be, anyway.
Oh, all right. Now I think I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Oh, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so I'm awake in the middle of the night and I just read the email that you sent out about insomnia. And I don't know, there was a link at the bottom to check the times on meetings, and I checked and there was a meeting going on.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's 4:30 in the morning here and I've been up since about 2. about 2 o'clock.
So does that happen very often for you?
Not recently. I don't know. I started taking this sleep supplement, and I'm getting 7 to 7.5 hours sleep now,
Oh, good. Yeah,
five to 6 nights a week. I mean, it's my new normal is to get that much sleep.
very
Um,
good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's wonderful. But my partner left for Florida last night. He'll be gone for a few days, so I'm home alone, and
Right.
his dog of 12 years died 2 weeks ago,
Oh,
and so it was just so shocking. It was such a
yeah.
shock, and I've never bonded with a dog like I had with this dog, so I had
Mm,
no idea what that loss felt like. I mean,
yeah.
it was like losing a human being. I mean, it was really
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
get that. Yeah.
So tonight was my first night in John's house. I've been here for about 6, 7 months now.
I remember when you
That
moved. Yeah.
yeah, where Frankie what isn't with me. I mean, it's my first night. So that was I think that's part of it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Interesting.
but yeah, but I'm I was really helpful listening to you talking to Tammy about how we have no control. And that's that concept is something that brings me a lot of peace. Like brings me so much peace. Every time that I think I have no control, like all the struggle, the storm in a teacup,
Yeah.
is just
Well
my
put.
fabric. It's my fabrication.
Mm,
And
yeah. And so, of
and
course,
when
you
yeah,
as an artist are pretending like you've got control all the time. You've got control of the pencil or you've got control of the brush. That's a tricky one, isn't
yeah,
it? Yeah.
yes, yeah. But it's really if I get out of the way, it's really
Yes.
just me responding to
Yes. Yeah.
and
Well,
that
it's
response is an excitement.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
discovery there. Yeah. And I would say it even you could even describe it not as you responding to something, because that's kind of like a artificial distinction, a separation of you and what you and the pencil or you and the brush, right? But there's an amalgamation. It's a happening that includes you and the brush and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 It's a happening. I get that.
Yeah. But getting out of the
Yeah.
road is a great way to describe it. Getting out of the road is a way of saying, a way of expressing that you're not, how can I put it? Well, you know what I mean anyway, but you're for the sake of others, you're not interfering with what wants to happen.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's it. That's it. It's if I look at something or I get Jesus, and I can look at anything. I mean, it's
Yeah.
any it's amazing how trivial and small, everything visual excites me. It's really,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the one that's what when I was talking earlier to Tammy when we were talking about magic. That's what I call magic. That's being able to, or not being able to, the happening of recognizing incredibly fine details in things. It just leaves you with a sense of awe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's, yeah. So that's neat. And I've been lying here for a few hours just thinking about, I got this studio space and I have a studio mate now. A woman is sharing the space with me as of this month. Um, and I love having her there. I mean, she's so helpful for me.
Yep.
It's really amazing. But
So
I worried about boundary issues because there's stuff going on with her. And, this how we, how she found me and how this came about was so organic.
yeah. So
And
there's big discoveries there, eh?
yeah, and just worry that
Yep. So you get
I'm
you
not
get
going to have
uh, uh,
boundaries.
positives and negatives all mixed up together. So with no doubt she's somehow stimulates inspiration, but then it's a fear that you might go too far, too too
Yeah,
much something. Yeah,
well, she has some kind of trauma in her background that she mm, manifested right now by nightmares. She has nightmares all the time, and she wakes up screaming help. And I'm like, yeah,
mm,
I don't want like what's what I've done in the past is had this delusion that I can help someone, and then people, I mean, she needs someone to guide her, and that person is not me. That's not my job.
mm,
This is I need a creative mate. She's like a mate, and I want us to create together, but I can't be doing therapy with her. Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
she
It's a
needs to
tricky one.
find,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So a good way to look at that is how you can express love without it costing you. Okay, that's probably a shitty way to put it, but you need to set boundaries that are strong but soft, if you know what I mean. You don't want to set hard boundaries, sharp boundaries.
yeah, yeah,
You do want
yeah,
to set boundaries. Yeah,
yeah. And so I played for her last week. I played that um There I Go song for her because it was like I it was like just wanting to say to her, you are
yeah, yeah,
just listening to your thoughts. And she totally loved the song. She
yeah,
resonated
yeah.
with it.
Yeah,
And
that's a particularly good one. I always felt really good about that one. Yeah.
that is, it's just brilliant. It is my theme song.
There I
They'll
go
play
again.
that at my funeral. So,
Okay, yeah. Well, it applies to all of us, doesn't it?
oh my God.
Yeah.
Some of us more than others, though. Oh God, they're just brilliant. That's just my favorite of all your songs. But anyway, so I reached out to actually, I sent an email to this therapist that I met through Killaby Inquiry. Do you remember I was doing KI about just
Yeah, yeah,
before I
yeah,
met you?
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
this woman, Darby, was wonderful. And
Right.
so I
Yeah.
sent an email to her to see if she can work with this woman. Um, and then I thought, Jesus, I told her about Pernila's mind body integration workshop, which is actually fabulous. It's
Mm.
so wonderful. And she can afford to pay for the workshop, but I don't know what her belief systems are. I don't want to dismantle her belief systems. You know
Yeah,
what I
it's a trick, isn't
mean?
it? So one thing that you can appreciate, I'm sure, I would hope, is that you instead of giving information, you model what you know
Right, right,
for her.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, perfect,
yeah,
perfect. Yeah, yeah. And I can, because some of the exercises that Pernilla does will
yes,
help ground her. It'll help ground her whether she understands them or not. She doesn't
yeah,
have to
yeah,
have an intellectual understanding, or she doesn't have
yeah,
to become awake. She can actually do these exercises and it'll help her.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, yeah. And of
Help
course,
her.
the big thing is that she wants to.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So that's exciting. This is exciting. And she's she's so good for me then. She comes to the studio and produces every freaking day.
yeah,
And I, oh my God. And I look at her and I'm like, fuck me. Like, like this woman is just like a little machine. And
yeah,
it's wonderful for me. It's just
yeah, yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
get that you get inspiration from her, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing.
Mm.
So I'm starting to do work that's I'm very much more pleased with. So it's
Oh,
fun
good.
and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
so
how excited you were when you got the studio, and I thought this is going to be good stuff. Yeah,
well then yeah, well I also when I got the studio, I also moved in with this
yeah,
fella
yeah,
and
yeah. At the same time, yeah,
yeah, and that's I've been on my own for 15 years, so that was an adjustment. It
yeah,
it took me a good 6 months to adjust.
yeah,
But but
yeah.
but but it's good now. And um, we lost Frankie in a matter of hours. It was so freaking
Oh, look,
weird.
I can imagine. You know what? How's this for serendipity? My dog is 12 years old today. Today's her birthday.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And
my dog at 12 still behaves like a pup.
well, so did Frankie. I mean, on Wednesday he was racing around the backyard like a 2 year old,
Yeah.
and and you know playing with us. And then Thursday he he still did his routine, but he was a little quiet. And then Friday there was something wrong. And so I texted John at work and I said, you got to get him to the vet today because something's wrong. And I was going off to my sister's for the first sisters weekend since last July. So I go, we get the dog in. Frankie's a big dog, 85 pounds. He's a
Oh, wow.
Burmese
Yeah,
mountain
okay. Yeah.
Burmese mountain dog mix. And we got him in John's car and they took off for the vet. And I went to my sister's. And I get to my sister's and he calls 5 minutes after I arrive and says, the vet won't let me take Frankie home. And I said, what, did they want to keep him over the weekend? He says, no, but I can't take him home. And I said, do they need to put him down? And he said, yes. He had this mass in his stomach and he was bleeding internally. He was dying. There was no
Yeah, yeah,
choice. There was no,
yep,
it's
yep,
not like we had a choice. There was
yep,
no choice. He
yep. And
was
you want to do
dying.
the right thing. You don't want him to suffer. Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing. So
Mm.
I drove, drove back 50 minutes and we were with them together and then
Yep.
that was it. But it was such a shock. There was no warning.
Oh,
And
look, yeah, even if you had warning, it's still a shock. It's still a shock,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
Even though we know, I mean, I've been joking for 12 years with my dog. Keep telling it, you ever get sick and you're going to get the needle, you know? That's it. We're not gonna spend thousands on you trying to keep you alive for an extra couple of months, right? Yet,
yeah.
you know, I know it's going to be a shock when it happens.
Oh my gosh. I I just had never experienced that. And we miss them. I mean, I miss them.
Yeah, of
And
course.
this was a dog that drove me crazy 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And
And the
Fred,
crazy thing is, it can be worse than losing a relative, you know, because you've got a weird relationship with the dog, and in that there's a total acceptance of the way it is, and vice versa.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that dog loves you with everything. You could kick the dog, you know, and it would still wag its tail when it saw you coming.
And that's it. That's it. And
Yeah.
um yeah. But yeah, so and it didn't drag on for years,
Well, that's
even
a relief too, isn't it?
oh, it really was. It really was. And but also this just the sadness. Like I
Yeah, of course there's sadness. But if you
yeah,
if you can surrender to that sadness, you'll find a beautiful sweetness in it. It's
yeah,
definitely, yeah, that's it. This is an expression of love. This grief is a beautiful expression of love. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I created this portrait of Frankie last week. It's just beautiful. And I'm gonna give it to John as a surprise.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
I'll email you
yeah, please.
a
Yes.
copy of it. Yeah.
Mm.
So so yeah, but I still feel like this is the beginning of like the best part of my life. Like
Absolutely. Yeah.
this is these
Yeah. Isn't
next
it weird, eh?
10,
Yeah. We
yeah,
we watched this thing on TV, about these people found this plant, and the flower of this plant, when they ate it, turned them young again. And my wife and I, we both looked at each other and we had this conversation. We said, "Would you ever want to be in your 20s again?" And both of us shook our heads and said, "No. We
I
we like
know.
being old. It's really good to be old."
It is. It is like it's just wonderful. Like I'm and Vince, I don't know, Pernilla did this mind body integration workshop and last March or February, and in it she was really advocating how we need to exercise and get to the gym and strengthen our bodies. And I thought about that from February or March right through to October. And then I started exercising. I um, got on the elliptical. We had John's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stepson had given us one. And I started with 5 minutes, which almost told me that first day. And then I added a minute a day. And yesterday I did an hour on it. And
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah,
yeah, and it just feels so good to be strong. And
yeah, yeah.
gosh,
Yeah, well,
it's
my
good.
wife and I, we've been walking 10,000 steps a day for about the last 3 or 4 months now. And
Oh, excellent.
yeah, but I still don't feel any fitter. I'm waiting to feel fit. I played
Well,
18 holes of golf yesterday, and when I come home, I was so tired I had to have a sleep. Yeah, so
right.
anyway,
But
but we are,
but
yeah.
I'll tell you something. There's a change in your face and your jawline and your neck. You
Oh, okay.
look
Yeah,
you look thinner and fitter. I don't
I
know.
have I have lost a bit of weight. I can lose some more, but I have lost a little bit. Yeah.
It looks excellent. I mean, it looks excellent. You don't look swollen. You don't look puffy. It's no, but it's there's a firmness around your face. It's really healthy. Yeah. So that's great because we need you here, man.
Yeah. Good, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So
Phoebe.
what time is it where you are?
It's nearly 9 o'clock. It's 8:51
Okay.
in the night. Yeah. So I'm going to go and spend an hour with my wife now before we go to bed. So
All right. Well, it's just wonderful catching up.
yeah, it was great talking to you too. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
man.
Okay.
You
See you
take
later.
care.
Yep, you too.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. I'll look forward to that picture. Yeah.
Okay.